So the show had some great B plots, but sometimes they really did lay some stinkers, and yeah, I couldn't just narrow it down to 5 or 10, so I went with 13. Why 13? Because it's my lucky number.
Sorry, Peg. Now, everyone else, the crossing guard's about to have a major contract dispute.
I call it. It's mine, me.
Peggy, no, I need a seasoned hand on this. Jenkins, you got the touch. You want to look into this monkey business?
Monkey business is my business.
Hey folks, welcome to Squirrel Tactics. Like, subscribe, check out the Patreon, let's do this. Okay, one thing I want to get out of the way, this is strictly my opinion. Some of you may love some of these, and that's totally cool, different strokes for different folks. If there's any you think should have made the list, let me know down in the comments. Alright, that's out of the way, let's get to the listing. First off, at lucky number 13, we've got It Ain't Over Till the Fat Neighbor Sings. The B plot, Peggy and Bobby play Pong.
I found it in the closet and I was gonna give it to Joseph to burn.
My pong.
Your what?
Pong? It's only the single greatest video game ever invented.
Yeah, that's it. The entire episode's B plot is the two of them playing a single game of Pong, which, while groundbreaking in its time, ain't exactly the most fun thing in the world, unless there's money on it.
So what am I up against here? Zombies? Serial killers? Drug dealers?
Nope. 2 lines and a dot.
That's it. That's the whole game. It's even more boring than real tennis.
That's because you don't know how to put English on it.
English, you say?
Not a terrible subplot, just a rather forgettable one, though I do like their attempts at trash talking and Peggy sticking to her guns on game pausing.
Don't you have homework to do?
Don't you have housework? I gotta take a bathroom break.
Fine, go ahead.
But
That's Pong, kiddo.
Also, apparently they restarted the game because Peggy scored when she put some English on it for the first time, but later the score is shown as 0-0. Though Peggy does end up winning the game 1-0 due to sheer unadulterated luck.
Well, we missed the Cowboys, but we bailed Bill out. Oh, sorry, I guess you're in the middle of your game.
It's not that funny, pretty forgettable, yeah, not a great B-plot. Number 12 is Smoking and the Bandit, the B-plot Peggy missing out on and searching for the Smoking Bandit. So Peggy was working as a reporter for the Arlen Bystander.
The Arlen Bystander.
As their newest reporter, so she was on the Waffle House beat, which she was not a fan of.
Okay, Peggy, you're all set with your Waffle House beat.
Yeah, about that, Roddy Ray. I was thinking this week, instead of writing something unimportant, I could cover something important. Change of pace.
And rather than do her job to the best of her ability and, you know, make lemonade with the lemon she's been given, she stayed home and missed out on Dale creating the Smoking Bandit, which she ain't happy about, but it's her own fault.
Smoking Bandit lights up controversy.
Smoking Bandit? What's that mean?
A mysterious man of menthol has declared a battle of the butts, standing up for the smoking community in a defiant yakety-yakety around 9 p.m. last night. Oh, at the Waffle House. That is my beat the thief.
9 o'clock? Hey, isn't that about the time you were eating waffles here?
Now, I'm not really a fan of this one, but I will give credit where credit is due because I loved this part right here, and it's why this isn't ranked higher.
Hate to talk.
Are you serious?
In a minute.
Well, give me the details, man.
Manners!
Yeah, Peggy decided the best course of action was to get mad at the guy that was actually doing his job and not sitting at home eating waffles when she was supposed to be working. But she's at least somewhat humble enough to ask for his help in how to find the bandit, though the answer he gives is not exactly what she's looking for.
I'll tell you where the bandit will strike next. Oh. Channel 84.
Channel 84. Late-breaking weather, every hour on the hour.
They always leave us for television.
I am not giving up on this.
Well, I am.
And she's not giving up, I have to hand that to her, but rather than find the bandit, she ends up bothering a doorman who looks like an oversized Bobby, and who has no interest in letting her into the nightclub, which I totally understand.
Your name's not on the list.
Excuse me, you do not know my name.
Okay, what's your name?
Peggy Hill, Arlen Bystander.
Not on the list.
Peggy keeps at it, making it so that no one could get into the club, thereby inconveniencing not only the doorman, but every person there rather than just accepting that she's not getting in. And when the doorman finally does relent and allow her entrance, Peggy pulls a Peggy.
Elizabeth Signwood Fatherton Millicent Millie Mitchell Waterberg, Duchess of...
Fine. $12 cover.
Oh, I don't have any money.
This one was just kind of a waste of what could have been a better B-plot. Honestly, had she teamed up with Bob Jenkins on this one, it would have been more entertaining. But she didn't, so this is what we were left with. Anywho, number 11, The Year of Washing Dangerously, the B-plot. Peggy tries to figure out why Nancy won't answer her calls. Really, the only good things from this one are showing the introduction of caller ID to the Hill home. Yes, kids, there was a time when we had no idea who was calling. You had to answer the phone to find out.
Don't answer it. This is exactly why we got caller ID, to weed out the unwantables. Out of area. I say, out of luck.
Wow. Can I not answer the next call?
Sure. I should tell Nancy about this. I have just ended the telemarketing industry as we know it.
We had this thing. It was mounted to the wall, and the ringer was an actual bell that rang. Oh, what a time to be alive. Also, no, telemarketing just changed how they did things, mostly by spamming phone numbers. So Peggy is bewildered that Nancy would screen her call and wants to know why.
Why wouldn't Nancy take my call? I'm her best friend, and she's one of my friends.
Maybe she just didn't feel like talking.
Nancy, please. Blah, 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 blah. Maybe she's mad at me for some reason.
You should ask her. Oh, right. She won't pick up the phone.
And what really ruins this one for me is the fact that there's an easy way to handle this situation, which is to just walk next door and ask. I get that anything that's 12 steps or more isn't worth doing, but seriously, Nancy is right there next door and this could get handled in less than 5 minutes. Instead, Peggy comes up with a foolproof plan to get to the bottom of things. And that plan is to simply hide outside the Gribble house and try to listen in.
I don't know, Mom. And besides, I don't even think we can hear them.
You're right. This isn't gonna work. We are going inside.
And it didn't work because of course it didn't work. Those are well-built houses with properly insulated walls. So there's no way that her and Bobby are going to be able to hear anything from outside. And her new plan is actually even worse, to sneak in and hide inside the Gribble house and try again, which the first part is successful due to Peggy creating a distraction.
I don't know how, but I still say you did it.
Once they were in the closet, Peggy makes the call, though to be fair, at the time a lot of cordless phones like this wouldn't have worked because it was too far from the base. But whatever, Nancy admits to Joseph that she borrowed a sweater from Peggy and had yet to get it dry cleaned to give it back, but Nancy decides to be the adult here and actually handle the situation by calling Peggy back, which doesn't turn out well for the people hiding in a closet.
What do we do? What do we do?
Don't answer it. Take out the batteries.
What the heck are you two doing in my closet?
Well, my sweater's not in here, Bobby. I guess I'll just be taking this until it turns up.
Just an unnecessary and awkward subplot that doesn't add anything other than showing Peggy to be Peggy and Joseph to be weird. Plus, I'd have rather they just had more of the A-plot in there. Finally getting into the top 10, or bottom 10 I suppose, we have number 10 Dreamweaver, the B-plot, making a viral video. When Bill's oddly worn cowboy hat acts in an interesting way, I say oddly because he never wears cowboy hat,
Holy mackerel! I can't believe what I just experienced!
Khan gets the idea that they need to recreate it in order to make a viral video.
We gotta do this again and videotape it for internet! This gonna make us immortal! I've always wanted to be immortal!
So he sets up a camera and they try to recreate the hat trick, and I don't mean the hockey kind.
Hey, that was a pretty nice gust! Why's your hat still on? Maybe your head even fatter now than before. Maybe.
After several failed attempts, Peggy gets involved because what better way is there to make a B-plot worse than introduce Peggy to it? I did not make this list in order to hammer on Peggy, I promise you I didn't, and she's been in some good B-plots. The taxidermy one comes to mind, but she tends to get thrown into episodes haphazardly in a form of not so great subplots.
Give me the video camera. If this turns out as well as Bobby's baby videos, you are all gonna be stars.
It's true. Her movie, Bobby Learns to Crawl, inspired me to walk.
Peggy Hill, we in your strong, manly hands.
And we later see just what Peggy created on See Me, an obvious nod to YouTube, and yeah, this is terrible. Like, worse than Neil Breen terrible, and that's something because dear God, that man's movies are horrifically bad. Like, they make The Room look Oscar-worthy, and this video is worse.
Peggy Hill presents Bill's Hat Flies Onto Con's Head.
Luckily, Con is Con, and he shares his opinion, which is the best part of the entire subplot.
That's terrible! Oh, we add filmmaking to the list of things Peggy Hill can't do. Right after cooking and wearing open-toed shoes.
I never thought I'd say this, but I'm a little embarrassed.
But after they get a few, and I do mean a few, hits or views, they're much happier about the outcome. Which, I mean, I get that, I've been there.
Look, someone else watched it.
Hey, 4 hits! I think we viral.
Now we wait for the parodies.
This one is just a throwaway story that takes up time and doesn't add anything to the episode or really be entertaining. And to be fair, the A-plot about the basket making vocation vacation wasn't that great either. At number 9, we've got The Boy Can't Help It. The B-plot, the guys make a homeless cart. How many of you honestly remember this one? Exactly, it's pretty forgettable. So yeah, the guys are in the alley when Spongy comes by and they're impressed with his cart.
No, look! Spongy's up to my cans. Goodbye, little beer cans. You tried your best to help me.
So they decide to go ahead and make one of their own. The problem is when they do, they aren't happy with the looks of it, though it seems they overlooked a rather important part, which is the fact that Bill can barely push it, so it's way too heavy.
It's moving. It's moving.
Glides effortlessly. Well balanced. We pulled it off.
It's not very pretty. I mean, it's functional, but personally, I wouldn't be caught dead pushing a homeless cart that looked like that.
And even once they pimp it out and take it over to Spongy, he doesn't want it for pretty obvious reasons.
Oh, yeah, this is great. If I want to get knifed, or murdered, or poo-balled, why don't you just paint a target on my back? I will take the tarp, though.
So yeah, the only good thing that came out of this was Spongy got a tarp. Oh, and let's not forget that the guys chose to eat cat food.
That stir fry looks good.
You want some? It's cat food.
Yeah, okay.
A not-so-great B-plot from a not-so-great episode. If I needed any more proof of that, it's the fact that it was ridiculously difficult to find a version of it online that wasn't terrible quality. Yeah, that's the best sound quality I could find. I don't know, I just expected better from the idea, and from Boomhauer, I mean, come on, man. I thought you'd be above eating cat food, but let's move on. Next at number 8, we've got Hair Today, Gone Tomorrow. The B-plot, Dale does everything he can to push Nancy back to John Redcorn.
Is this gonna shrink down? This is huge! What will I tell the aliens? I hope you like this, because if you don't, there's nothing else?
Dale, I'm doing the best I can. I'm sorry I don't know alien protocol.
So, I love Dale. He's one of the best parts of the show, but geez, crow was he bad in this B-plot, which started off with him announcing his upcoming party, something that he seems to do every year, yet it's never mentioned before.
Hey, you guys want to come to my vernal equinox party tomorrow?
No.
Before you answer, remember, the vernal equinox is when the stars align in the configuration of an arrow pointing to Earth, as if to say, come, visit here. I'll read a thoughtful essay, we'll shriek ceremoniously, and eat tapas.
God, no.
By the way, the vernal equinox is just the fancy way of saying the start of spring. Tapas are apparently small plates of food that are shared, hence why he was freaking out about having a large single dish. And the only way that the location of a planet in any way affects any of us is if it's on a collision course with us. Anywho, we get to see what everyone chose to skip out on, and I can't blame them.
And it's equinox.
What the literal actual One of the things I don't like about this one is that it takes the whole Dale being weird thing, it turns it up to 100. They go way too far with it, and this epileptic seizure of idiocy here is a perfect example. They also make him an idiot. He ain't the sharpest knife in the drawer already, but he's not this dumb. When Khan's nephew, who Khan himself had warned them about earlier, shows up in what is obviously a car, which Dale mistakes as being an alien arriving in a spacecraft,
alien, member. Alien? Alien! Alien! Oh my god, it worked! Khan, you remember? Your language. It's beautiful.
And there's no way Dale would think this was an alien language because he's studied other languages and he's heard Khan speak Lao. But whatever, Dale gets in the car thinking it's a spaceship and that he's leaving Earth behind because, again, apparently in this episode he's a complete and utter moron.
You want me to get in there? Okay, I'll get in. Goodbye, Earth!
Once he gets in, he notices the clock is set to military time, also known as the 24-hour clock, which is the most commonly used time notation in the world. And Dale would know full well that most of the rest of the world outside of the US runs on military time. But this somehow completely slips his mind, and he decides instead that it must be a time machine because, again, idiocy.
2048. Hey, your clock's on military time. Why would you have military? Oh my god, that's not the time. That's the year. You're not an alien, you're a time traveler. Let me out of this thing! Eject!
After Dale gets knocked unconscious, Khan's nephew dumps Dale's body in the middle of a field, don't blame him, leading to Dale waking up and believing that he has traveled to the future.
I've done it! I've traveled to 2048. Al Gore was right. I wonder what ocean this used to be. And man has devolved back to crawling. No, wait, that's just me.
This stance changes when he gets back to the alley and Bill trips on a hole for the second time that episode. I mean, Bill trips on holes, it happens. So he gets the idea that he did time travel just the other way.
Hey guys! Ow! My knee!
Oh my god. Bill's about to say, I'm okay.
I'm okay.
Wait, I wasn't transported to the future. I've been transported to the past. Yesterday.
Yep, now he thinks he's in the past, and he of course has to avoid running into himself. So he goes spelunking, and Hank tries to cover up Dale's complete and utter lunacy so as not to push Nancy back into John Redcorn's awaiting embrace. Long story short, this happens.
Nancy, tomorrow's not guaranteed. You should live for now. Meaning if you're thinking about doing something but are hesitant for some reason, you should go ahead and do it. Like wearing that crazy hat. You too, John Redcorn. If there's something you're thinking about doing, you might as well do it. Do it now!
Jesus, tap dancing Christ, Dale, that's just hard to watch. He ends up getting it in his head that the world is coming to an end and nobody will just tell him that he's being an idiot. Fast forward to the end of the episode and he shows up to stop Nancy from fully getting back together with John Redcorn.
Now, I'm not saying the world is going to end in 35 minutes, but if it did, I know exactly where I want to be, in the arms of my trusty wife. You are as beautiful as you are trusty.
Yeah, this was just Dale acting like a cartoon-level buffoon. Like I said earlier, taking baseline Dale and cranking it way over the top. Dale being eccentric is funny, but this one just took it too far. And that brings us to number 7, Death Buys a Timeshare, the B-plot, Peggy, Bobby, and Dale trying to find a swimming pool. This one for me is dumb for no other reason than they could easily drive right on down to the Megalo Mart and buy a decent-sized pool for not much money. I looked it up. You could buy a 10-foot pool from Walmart for $30. That's plenty big for all 3 of them to lie down in it. So it's summer in Texas, meaning it's hot. And Peggy and Bobby are sitting out in the yard waiting for the sprinkler to hit them. Which makes no sense because if you're hot in the summer, you do the smart thing and go inside where there's air conditioning. It ain't cheap, trust me, my $400 electric bill in the summer months can attest to that. But it beats waiting on a sprinkler to pass by.
Here it comes, Bobby. Oh.
Hi, Peggy. You're sweating like a pig.
Dale, if you block my sprinkle turn, I will take you down.
That's for amateurs. I'm stocking the big gallonage.
Now, before this, she and Bobby were sitting inside and they were hot, which again doesn't make sense. They live in a well-built, well-insulated home that's kept in tip-top shape by Hank. There is no way the air conditioner shouldn't be able to keep up. Or here's an idea, go take a cold shower, that'll cool you off. Again, it's better than a sprinkler. But I digress. They go after the pool across the alley in the backyard of a house that's up for sale, and of course the realtor shows up with a prospective buyer for a showing, which causes them to hide and give up on the pool being a viable option.
They're gonna take our pool away.
I can't go back to the lawn.
You, find us another pool.
They try a different pool. I gave the guys some eye candy in the Donna video, so ladies, here you go. Take in that track star physique of Dale Gribble. But this too goes awry.
Last time I was here, they were puppies. Now, which one of you is Scamp?
And after they somehow got away from the dogs, which I'm not gonna lie, would have probably made this B-plot better if they'd showed how, they make one last attempt to join the access to a pool club by straight up lying to some random people who are enjoying their own pool.
Well, hello there. We are your new next-door neighbors.
You're gonna love us.
What happened to the Petersons?
Unclear. So what do you say? How about a swim, neighbor? 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 Neighbor!
So yeah, this one to me just doesn't make any sense. I've lived through plenty of summers in Texas. It's not hard to find ways to cool off, especially when just staying inside or buying a cheap pool is an option. Number 6, how I learned to stop worrying and love the Alamo. B-plot, Flat Stanley. Now, I had no idea what the hell Flat Stanley was when I saw this episode. I never did that in school, but it sounds like a pretty cool thing to do. And props to Peggy for recognizing and knowing about it.
What the hell is this? Some kind of voodoo doll? My nose is not that big.
That is Flat Stanley. Teachers have their students send them out to faraway places. Then you take pictures of him, send it back, and the kids learn about geography.
What do these people want from me? I am not God!
So Peggy takes it upon herself to handle Flat Stanley. Smart move. And she starts off well. Again, props to Peggy for her choice of location. It makes sense.
More frozen poultry passes through this loading dock than any other in Heimlich County. It is like the Ellis Island for dead chickens.
Aunt Peggy, I have a Flat Stanley question. Why is he flat?
Exactly, Luann.
Oh no, that road? No, you don't want to go down that road. But Peggy has to Peggy and we go down that road.
Why is Flat Stanley flat? Because he wasn't careful and got tragically and painfully flattened. Flat Stanley can do more than just teach geography. He can save lives.
So, yeah, Peggy decides that rather than teach geography to school children, why not make them the Polaroid version of a snuff film? Which is a little bit far for a bunch of kids. I mean, I grew up loving stuff like Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark with the original drawings, but I was a peculiar child, and a lot of kids can't handle that.
I will call this one, Look Both Ways Before Dying.
She then takes Flat Stanley to a shooting range to teach gun safety because apparently kids don't know that it's bad to get shot. You know, I'm pretty sure they already knew that, and I'm starting to think that Peggy was taking some kind of pleasure from this.
Now, firearm safety is one of the most important issues facing our children today.
Would it be easier to just have the children not shoot guns?
Snap out of your dream world, Luann.
Fire! Peggy, no! How many times does he have to get shot?
Until he learns his lesson.
Peggy put Flat Stanley back together with a combination of Staples tape and Elmer's glue. That's American healthcare right there. Then she takes him to teach the children another lesson, but this one seems vaguely familiar in a way that it's odd that it wasn't brought up.
Do we really have to worry about children wandering into pork plants and climbing onto the kill line?
Not if I do my job.
Yeah, they kill Flat Stanley in the exact same way that Trip Larson died in front of both of them in Pygmalion the previous season. Possibly the exact same building and the exact same line.
What am I doing in a pig costume? Uh-oh.
It's really weird to me that they didn't mention it, and thanks to Peggy, a group of school children are traumatized. And they went ahead and put an end to a great tool for kids to learn about geography. Great going there, Peggy. Way to Peggy up the situation.
I think this will be the last year we do Flat Stanley.
Number 5, in Peggy's last appearance, I swear, Bill's house, the B-plot, Peggy learns to ride a bike. Now, many of you already see the issue here. We've already seen her ride a bike, while carrying a turkey no less, in Goodbye Normal jeans. And I know it's not exactly the same thing, but she drove a motorcycle across the country in Queasy Rider. So she knows how to balance a bicycle and a motorcycle, so why does she need to learn how to ride a bike?
You don't know how to ride a bike?
I grew up in Montana, Bobby. We rode horses. Though a bike probably would have been better because I wouldn't have had to castrate it.
Don't get me wrong, it's fun to watch Peggy fail. I accept that it shouldn't be fun, but it is.
Bobby, I'm sure riding a bike is just like swimming. You hold your breath and kick like crazy.
Oh! Mom, are you okay? You don't know how to swim, do you?
Not so much.
Okay, we've seen Peggy swim. She swam in an episode we've already mentioned. So what the crap, writers? She can't swim or ride a bike. 2 things we've already seen her do. What's next? They introduce her to Boggle? I put this B-plot here mostly because the writers really messed up with their lack of continuity knowledge. Which I know tends to happen on the show, but not to this extent. But props to Peggy, she gives it the old college try.
Bobby, I can do this on my own. That being said, if you let go of this bike, you will never see TV again.
You're doing great, Mom!
Don't let go, don't let go, don't let go!
He let go! What? You did?
I think the worst thing about this B-plot, other than the whole, she already knows how to ride a bike thing, is that by the end of the episode, she still hasn't learned to ride a bike and Bobby makes her give up.
Bobby, I think today is the day.
Sit down, Mom. We need to talk. I think we have to be honest with ourselves. You're never gonna learn how to ride a bike.
But
It's over, Mom. Jesus knows you tried.
Something I do want to point out, a Peggy B-plot did make it into the top 5, but only because it makes no sense in continuity. So technically it's not her fault. Anywho, number 4, King of the Anthill, the B-plot, Bobby falls under control of a fire ant queen. And yes, sadly I meant for those words to come out of my mouth like that. This is just dumb. In a show that's known and praised for its realism, we get Bobby being bossed around by a fire ant.
Yes, my queen.
Yeah, he apparently is overrun by the queen's pheromones, which queen ants do release pheromones, but they don't affect humans, and they sure as hell don't zombify us and put us under the spell of the queen. So Bobby doing stuff like eating an entire jar of sugar to then feed it to the ants as a semi-liquid glucose is not at all realistic.
Very odd. Now what the heck was that?
These, Queen. These.
Now, I'm not saying that Bobby is the smartest kid out there. There are many times that he's shown he's a few McNuggets short of a Happy Meal. But just the idea that he'd be bossed around by a fire ant queen, it doesn't work. Though it is funny that he apologizes to her for speaking his mind.
No, I cannot allow you to leave the safety of the bowl. It is too dangerous out there. Forgive me, my queen. I spoke out of turn.
The queen magically orders Bobby to release her and her colony from their captivity, so Bobby adds them to an existing anthill.
Yes, your majesty. I will tell my people about you. And may I be so bold as to ask you to tell your subjects about...
Now, I'm not an expert on ant behavior, but I can research, and every bit of research I could find says that in this situation where a queen is introduced to a colony who already has a queen, yeah, that new queen and her colony are about to get wiped out by the existing one. The show, however, shows her taking over the colony immediately, and Bobby has a bad time.
Dad?
Not now, Bobby. I'm in the middle of something.
This really can't wait.
Oh, Bobby, what are you doing?
Take him off.
He's lucky that he's able to pass them over onto Dale, who gets bit and the ants disperse. This B-plot has a few funny moments, but it's dumb and goes against the realism the show typically sticks to. I mean, Bobby zoning out due to getting on Ritalin makes sense because that's something that can happen. So yeah, this one was just weird and out of place for the show. Number 3, Cops and Robert, the B-plot. How many of you honestly remember that Dale worked for a Hooters knockoff? Yep, Dale decides his next get-rich-quick scheme is to sue Bazooms for sexual harassment.
They are ladies, whereas I am a man, and a flat-chested one at that. So Bazooms won't hire me, and when they don't, I'll sue for sex discrimination. It's a brilliant idea.
Dang it, Dale. Did you ever get the brilliant idea to make money through dedication and hard work?
Yep. Dismissed it.
This, however, doesn't work, seeing as even though he had no restaurant or waiting experience, he gets the job anyway. Probably because the manager wasn't an idiot and he knew exactly what Dale was trying to do.
Congratulations, you got the job.
Do what now?
Now, the easy solution here is to hire him as a busboy or stick him in the kitchen. But instead, they make him a waiter, so Dale has to go along with his bluff being called.
When they see I'm not quitting, they'll have to fire me. And when they do, sha-sha, I sue for sex discrimination.
You're an evil genius.
Yep.
So Dale becomes a waiter, which he's not great at since he does things like stacking plates directly on top of each other to carry them to the table, but he makes pretty good money at it, and the waitresses aren't too happy that he's making more than them in tips.
Wow. I'm getting bigger tips than the attractive, competent women just because I'm a man.
Amen to that, brother! Woo! Oh, yeah!
We find out later that Dale isn't getting great tips because he's a good server or because he's a guy, but rather because he's been giving away free food. Also, it bothers me more than it should that Dale is just okay with not wearing a hat. It took him some time to adjust when he was with Stick Tech.
Hey guys, sit in my section.
How about some hot wings on the house? I find if I bring people things and don't ring them up, the tips are incredible.
Giving away free food ends up catching up with him at the end of the episode when he's fired for employee theft because, you know, giving away free food is kind of frowned upon.
But you will get nothing.
What?
You've been giving out appetizers and desserts without ringing them up. Bazooms looks down on employee theft.
Well, while you were looking down on employee theft, you were also looking down my shirt. Shall we just call it even? Get him, girls!
This was a forgettable subplot in a forgettable episode. The main plot about Hank accidentally stealing a man's wallet is just as forgettable. Though the funny thing is, the other subplot about Bobby and Officer Brown is surprisingly good. But Dale as a waitress, yeah, that one wasn't so great. Number 2, and the inspiration for this list, Lucky See Monkey Do. The subplot, Bill unknowingly has a romance with a 17-year-old girl. Yeah, that's a thing that happened. Now, to be fair to Bill here, she was just a voice on a drive-thru speaker.
You know what I want?
Of course I do. You're a regular, honey.
Honey?
But when he finds out that the voice doesn't work there, but rather works in a call center in Arizona, Bill vows to find the woman behind the voice.
Well, they work out of a call center in Buckeye, Arizona. It's cheaper that way.
Arizona? Well, then that's where I'll go. I'll go to Arizona and find her and tell her how I feel.
Okay.
I'm really gonna do it!
Knock yourself out, sir.
By the way, there is an actual Buckeye, Arizona. It's the largest city in Arizona by area and is one of the fastest growing cities population-wise in the country. It's also probably a 16 or 17 hour drive from Arlen. So Bill's got a ways to go, but at least Hank tries to talk him out of it.
Bill, I know you're pretty fired up about driving to Arizona for love and whatnot, but you ought to consider your other option, not driving to Arizona.
What Jane and I have is special, Hank. Too special to let New Mexico keep us apart.
Bill makes his way west, talking to the object of his desire at drive-thrus as he went along. Which, again, keep in mind that this is a 40-year-old man and a 17-year-old girl. But, of course, Bill doesn't know that, and it's still retroactively creepy.
It must be cold out there in the desert tonight.
I have my love to keep me warm. I'll talk to you when I get the truth of consequences.
But there's trouble in paradise when Bill hears her refer to another customer as Honey. Thank God he was never in love with Joe Jack, leading him to yelling at a drive-thru speaker and calling the whole thing off.
Is that you, Bill?
How many other honeys do you have? Is it just him, or do you say it to every salad-eating playboy in a Taurus?
What?
Goodbye, Jane. Forever.
Wait, no! Bill, come back!
You know what? A lemon pie sounds pretty good.
I would like to point out here that they keep using Want-A-Burger in this episode, which is obviously a spin on Whataburger. And that's odd because they featured Whataburger on the show many times before. Also, as a Texan, Whataburger is good, but it's honestly not worth the price and the drive-thru wait time. I mean, seriously, if your car has a quarter tank or less, do not get in the Whataburger drive-thru. And honestly, getting a steak finger basket with a side of nacho cheese at Dairy Queen is more of what I think of when I think of Texas fast food rather than Whataburger. Anywho, because Bill can't stay away from the drive-thru, he runs into Jane again. Well, figuratively.
Double meat meal, please.
Bill? Is that you? Where have you been?
Not that it's any of your business, but I had lunch at a Luli's, and it was delicious.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. They know how to treat a guy there.
And they end up making up after a brief spat. Yeah, it's still creepy.
What are we doing? Why are we trying to hurt each other?
I don't know. I miss us.
I miss us too.
I could be there in an hour.
What are you waiting for, honey?
Finally, the two lovebirds meet, and full props to Bill here. Once he figures out that she's as young as she is, he's out. He has zero interest, which, yeah, that's the right decision to make there. Hopefully, that's glaringly obvious.
Jane?
Bill? You didn't tell me you were so old.
You didn't tell me you were so young.
I'm not young. I'm 17.
I'm just gonna drive home now.
Yeah.
A subplot that really didn't need to exist and was way more uncomfortable than funny or entertaining. This episode is kind of hard to sit through on a rewatch, but it's not the most messed up B-plot. For that, we're going to the #1 worst King of the Hill B-plot, which is Lupe's revenge. The B-plot, Hank is stalked, harassed, and sexually assaulted by a female police officer. Yeah, when you go back and watch this one, it's actually pretty messed up. Hank gets pulled over by former Rumpert alternate cheerleader Jane Cooper, who's voiced by Kathy Bates, interestingly enough, and she starts flirting pretty quick, even doing a cheer routine to show she's still got it, with Hank oblivious to what's really going on.
I'd do the split, but I've got a backup pistol strapped to my ankle, and I'm not as flexible as I used to be.
Oh, I'm sure you're still plenty flexible.
She ends up letting him off with a warning because she's into him, which Hank figures out later on. And after he figures this out, he goes back to her normal hiding spot in order to get the ticket that he feels he deserved.
I don't feel right about you letting me off the hook this morning. I think I need more than a slap on the wrist.
Really?
Yeah, I'd like that ticket.
But she sees this as more flirting, and when they're cut off by a call coming in, she gives him the ticket that she thinks he's really there for.
Here, I think this is what you came for.
I thank you for your professionalism, ma'am. Oh.
Yeah, it's her phone number. And what's worse is that since she got a look at Hank's driver's license, she knows his address, and so she starts randomly showing up the first time she bullied the guys to get rid of them.
Yeah. You three better leave before I write you tickets for public drunkenness.
But we're not drunk just yet.
You want to spend a day in court fighting it? Huh? Huh? Come on, big boy, huh?
And when Hank tried to get her to back off, she doesn't take no for an answer. Seriously here, if you don't see an issue with a cop giving out their phone number, then going to the house of someone they pulled over to flirt with them, reverse the sexes, and I'll bet you sing a different tune.
Look, there's something you should know. My wife is going to be home any minute.
Do you know which route she's taking? Because I could easily set up a roadblock.
Okay, then.
Hey, doggy. I'll take me a burger with that shake. Bye, fancy pants.
She shows up several more times, which makes Peggy uncomfortable, mostly because at the time she was harboring a little Mexican girl that she had kidnapped. So yeah, she was a bit on edge.
Oh my God, Bobby, did you rat me out? Did you? How much did they give you?
Jane ends up pulling Peggy over and orders her out of the car just so that she could compare what Peggy was working with to what she had going on, and yeah, this is just uncomfortable.
Turn around. Spread 'em. Not bad. But take a look at this. Huh? Huh? Now get out of here.
After Peggy ends up getting arrested down in Mexico, Hank is in a hurry to get down there to help her and ends up getting pulled over by the old Officer Cooper, with Hank finally wanting to put things straight and get on the road because Peggy needed him.
Okay, I was speeding.
You want speeding, Hank? Feel this.
He tries to just get his ticket and go. He's got places to be and a wife in Mexican jail. But Jane takes it as Hank playing games, which he really has not been, and she decides that she's going to get what she can from him.
How can I be sure about those alleged 7 extra pounds you say you're carrying? Huh? Well, that could be a gun. Or stolen art, for all I know.
I assure you, it is simply a small additional ridge of fat.
So she gives Hank 2 choices. He can either let her grope him, or he could go to jail. And again, swap the sexes here if you don't see an issue. This face that Hank's making is pretty much the same face we see during his encounter with a dolphin. What's going on with her is clear abuse of power, and by today's standards, it's clear sexual assault.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light that so proudly...
And just to add icing on the cake, Hank's reaction afterwards should tell us all we need to know about how messed up that situation was.
I feel dirty.
I'm not sure if they meant for this subplot to be played for laughs, but even for the time, this was pretty messed up. A police officer stalking, harassing, and sexually assaulting someone is not particularly funny, and hopefully it's understandable as to why it tops our list as worst B-plot. So that's our list, but what's yours? Let us know down in the comments and let us know if you want to see more lists like this. Maybe we'll make them the occasional thing. And since so many have asked for it, I do plan to do the opposite of this and cover the best B-plot. So that'll be coming down the road. So yeah, we'll see y'all next time.
So, they changed the name of Arlen to Fartland. Oh, cold, hilarious fate. What happened here that would make them do such a thing?
This course is the feces that is produced when shame eats too much stupidity. You people make me envy the deaf and the blind. Underwear, money, fat. Ugh.